Welcome to The Neighborhood, a show where a mother and her daughter talk about business, community, and everything in between. Now hop aboard the trolley and let's go.
Hey everyone! Hey neighbor!
Hello.
Hi neighbor!
Hi.
You've been our neighbor now for a couple years.
I have. I love it here.
Yes.
Never
Today
leaving.
we have such a fun show for you. So we have Emily Sanders here, which we'll talk more about Emily in a bit. But Emily is a neighbor here at the Village and a fabulous massage therapist here. And so we'll talk a little bit about that and her role with the Miss Colorado for America pageant that some of you know that I got the honor to be a judge 2 weeks ago. Was it already 2 weeks?
It's already
It was 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And so we're going to talk about that. So really fun. So hopefully you have your seatbelt on.
I do.
Yeah, because, you know,
Yep.
we always get on our trolley. You guys know we get on the trolley. It's like, whoa, here it comes. I hear it. I said, we need like little trolley car bars or something here. So we have to first go to the newsroom because there's some interesting news that ties into, I mean, all of us and our business. And no matter where you are, AI is affecting our business and our world. But I thought it was interesting. I just heard this story about Shopify. The CEO at Shopify is now mandating that every single employee from himself all the way down that they report how do they use AI every day. He wants every employee to be looking for ways to utilize AI. And I thought that was kind of interesting because even you said, wait, is it he wants them to use it?
Yeah.
Or not use it?
Usually, you know, are you just sitting there for an 8-hour day and
Right.
you already got all your stuff done
Exactly.
an hour into your day because you used AI?
Don't you wish that would be the case?
Yes.
Like,
Because
yeah.
I'll go work there.
Yeah, I'll work there.
I'm
I know.
Totally fine with
I'll
that.
learn how to do something at
Yes.
Shopify. Yeah, it is interesting. Every employee, he wants every employee looking for ways that they can incorporate AI into their work, which is interesting because I've been trying to do that. And I think, I mean, you and I have talked about it. It's so hard as a small business to make the time, number one, to learn, and then to even think of. I was on a call this morning with a guy who is an AI not really consultant. He implements things. I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, and then he and I started talking, and he helps businesses use AI. And I said, "Oh, tell me more." Or as Gen Z would say less. Say less. And he started telling me how he can help us take our show notes. It'll automatically put it into the descriptions in YouTube. It'll add all the keywords.
Yeah.
And then it will put it into a newsletter to go out on MailChimp. And I was like, wow, okay, that's cool use of it.
Yeah.
But he wants a lot of money to do it. He wants to be on retainer every
course.
month. And I was like, however, isn't that the point? You're supposed to have
Getting
AI
AI to do
it.
everything so you don't have to
I
make
can hire a
lot
full-time
of payments.
person for what he's
Yes.
wanting and have them do it manually. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I said, my biggest challenge is trying to think of creative ways to incorporate it into our business, whether it's to help with marketing, to strategize on problems that you have within your business. So we have 2 events coming up, the end of April. So April 29th. And then the following Tuesday, both Tuesdays, we have lunch and learns every Tuesday. And the April 29th, we have somebody coming in talking to Jackie Green, who is talking about how small businesses can use specific tools that are AI for their business. And then the very next week, another guy, Greg Jameson, is going to talk about creative ways. So more creative uses. And one example he gave was pick 5 people you wish were on your board of directors for your business. Anybody, dead or alive, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, you know, who would you pick as your 5 thought leaders? I'd want Virgin Atlantic guy, Richard Branson.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
want him on my board.
I would want every Shark Tank.
All the
person.
Shark Tank
Yes,
people.
I am addicted to Shark Tank.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I am too. I love that show. And he says, then you tell AI, these are my board of directors. And then you pose a problem and you want input from all your board on this problem. So he had some really creative use. So that's going to be May, whatever the Tuesday is. I think it's May 3rd or May. No, it can't be the 3rd. It must be like the 7th or 5th or the Tuesday, first Tuesday in May. So we have back to back. So I thought it was interesting how Shopify is mandating that for their employees. And it's like, we all should be looking for ways
Mhm.
to implement, even just playing with it a little bit. It starts getting you familiar with how to prompt. And is there one that you've
Yeah.
used the most?
I think that Chat GPT is my first
Yeah.
real utilization of it, and
Me too.
Canva has a lot of it. It is actually
Canva
integrated
is
now
mind-blowing.
into, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a massage therapy system for scheduling, and it even has it in that.
Oh,
So if I wanted
interesting.
to do any marketing,
It can,
all I have to do is say, big sale on relaxing massages, and then it'll turn
it'll
it into
create a
this,
campaign.
enjoy this incredible
That's cool.
massage. And so, yeah, you don't have to think much. You're just thinking, I
And
just
then you
want,
could say, create graphics of a massage, make sure the person doesn't have long nails
yeah,
or
hairy arms.
hairy arms. Yeah, it is weird because
I
you have to kind of be so specific with some things
yeah.
in your
So,
industry to say, okay, to
yeah.
make it look legit.
Well, and you can get really overwhelmed with everything on Instagram showing you could make $10,000 a
Yes.
month doing just this in these
There is
3
no easy
steps.
button. There is no
It
easy button.
isn't.
No.
I've tried looking into that,
No.
and it's not.
No.
It's very hard. So I would love to join those classes
Yeah,
to
it'll
just
be fun.
understand it better and
Yeah.
see
And
where
you
I
just
could
kind
go
of
with
see,
that.
I want to hear real examples. Like, tell me what you did. What are the tools you use? Okay, I want to try that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we go,
Yeah.
oh, I have to use AI. And it's like, how?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting. And Shopify is on top of it. So thought that was
Mm,
really interesting as a
gotta get on
mandate.
board.
And then another interesting news story that applies to all of us is, how do you stay up on trends in your industry in the massage therapy world?
Mhm.
How do you know about trends? I mean, I was trying to even think, what are trends in massage?
So trends
Hot
in
stone
massage,
used to
hot
be one.
stones,
Yeah.
there's a big thing about CBD. It hasn't
Oh,
been for
true.
too much lately.
Yeah.
CBD might be going down in what people
Interesting.
really, but that became a big trend.
That was a big
do you
trend.
do CBD? Do
The
you do
suction,
this?
what are the cupping?
The cupping is a big thing.
So
for
how do you
everyone.
stay up on trends in your industry?
So I just really look at what people are. I do forecasting and look at what they're looking at and what they want to do. We have a very big lack of massage therapists here in Denver, and
Interesting.
there's been a lot of people that have contacted me. Do you do this? My person quit, or she's resigned, or she doesn't want to do it anymore,
Yeah.
which I can kind of relate to.
Yeah, you're going, it's hard work.
It's hard work.
hard work.
It's very labor intensive work.
Yeah.
So there are some Instagram pages that I watch. I like to watch YouTube a lot with chiropractors and what they're doing.
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
there is a holistic movement where people want to come and do a little bit more chiropractic or massage to get.
See, I would think
that taken care
AI
of.
could create a weekly summary for you on all the
Probably.
news out there in
Oh,
this industry,
100%.
and then say, show me trends that are popular.
Yeah, I think you can do that with Chat GPT or any of those.
Right.
You just
Create
what
a
are the
prompt.
trends, and it'll come
Yeah,
up.
that's what I want to find out. Okay, then how do you say, send me a weekly report
Yeah.
on this? So it's interesting because it got me thinking, because I heard them talking about this new trend out there is Dubai chocolate. And I was like, never heard of it. Do you buy
Yes,
chocolate? My
I do.
answer is yes. Yeah, Dubai chocolate is pistachio with chocolate. It's not a healthier version, I don't think. It's just milk chocolate, but you bite into it and it's pistachio. So the reason this was a trend is 18 months ago, it was a big TikTok thing.
Oh.
And everyone started calling it Dubai chocolate. I don't know why. Maybe
Is
pistachios
it
are
from
really
Dubai?
big. Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was big on TikTok. But then I started looking into it. How long does it take when something is trending on TikTok before it becomes mainstream?
Right.
And it's about a year to a year and a half.
Oh, really?
That when you see it on TikTok, when does it become so mainstream? Do you remember I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram, the pink sauce? There was this huge trend, and this woman had this pink, it looked so hokey because it looked like a homemade squeeze bottle. It was. She was making this pink sauce, and then she wouldn't tell what was in it. But all of a sudden it got picked up at grocery stores, and they were selling pink sauce, and now you can't find it. So it kind of came and went.
I don't know.
But it was on Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Instagram because I'm rarely on TikTok.
Yeah.
I'll go just if somebody sends me a link.
Yeah.
But this was on TikTok a year and a half ago.
It's like a ketchup or something,
That
or like
one
a condiment.
It was a
or-
condiment.
Oh,
Yeah. It was like dip sauce for
or something.
chicken nuggets.
I
or
usually
something.
think that I've seen something for the first time,
Yeah.
and my kids say,
And they're like, "Oh,
"No,
that's old."
been yeah,
That was on TikTok a year ago. See, that's it.
Yeah.
And when we hear about it, it's mainstream. And it's
Mhm.
interesting, this Dubai chocolate, you're going to start seeing it. It was either Shake Shack or In-N-Out Burgers milkshakes.
Oh,
All of a sudden, there's this big trend of Dubai chocolate. So I'm curious if any of you out there have ever tasted Dubai chocolate.
and then send it to us.
Yeah, we want to
if you
know. Yeah, tell us
where it is.
hit us up. Where can we get Dubai
Yes.
chocolate? Because I thought that was interesting. But then it started making me think of, how do we follow trends? I mean, I try to listen to lots of different podcasts,
Mhm.
and I pick different industries so that I'm hearing information from not just my co-working industry or marketing industry, but all different realms, to hear, okay, what are they saying is hot?
Mhm.
And then you kind of start seeing things on TikTok or
Yeah.
Instagram, and there's reels on things. But yeah, it's interesting. We have to, and I think we need to start something here to say,
Yeah.
okay, if you hear of something, somehow we need to share that, because
And we need to have like a list
A
of
board.
the top 10
Yeah.
a board, so we can come over and see it
And see, okay,
just
what are some
know
of the
what we're
trends?
supposed to be doing.
well, we
for
do
the
have a
day.
Slack channel. We do have a Slack. Do you ever use Slack?
No.
Okay.
I
See,
just
that's our
found out
challenge.
about Slack.
Okay. That was a trend.
It's probably a year ago.
Oh, more than a year. But the Slack might be a good way we could have a trends channel. And when
Gotcha.
somebody says, here's a good trend that I see posted in there, there's some people in here who would totally fill that up for us.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of jump on there and go, could this apply to my business?
Yeah.
Because that's how I hear it. Dubai chocolate, that doesn't apply to my business.
Right.
But are there some that could? And how could we incorporate trends so that we're staying out front and staying
Mhm.
abreast of things going on? But
Absolutely.
yeah, kind of fun.
Yeah. If you're going to ask me, I'm in a dark room
Yes.
8 hours a day, and everyone's complaining about their body hurting. So I never know the
I
trends.
have to say, I went to Emily and I was like, I feel good, but I just want to go to get a massage. But I was having what I've discovered is called tech neck.
Technic.
Okay.
I'm looking at your
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
I didn't know that was, so maybe that's a trend.
It's a trend
Obviously.
for those Gen Zers.
Yes.
For sure. For
Like my
sure.
neck has been so sore. So when I went to you, I was like, my neck hurts a little bit. And then I was like, oh, I shouldn't have told her that. And I'm like, crank on. You're definitely great sports massage. Everybody that I know always wants, like my husband always, I want like deep tissue, like really
deep.
crank it. And I'm like, oh no, I want like la la la, like here's the smell of flower petals. Petting, yeah.
You're the
That's what I
marketing
want.
person that's like,
Yes. I want the pictures of this lady with candles around me. Yeah.
yes.
Oh, don't hurt me. Yeah. Yeah, you hear George Michael sing, not George Michael, Boy George. Do
Boy
you
George,
really
do you-
want to hurt me? But Emily and I started chatting in a cafe the other day about our topic today.
Yes.
And it stemmed from 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
the Miss Colorado of America.
For America.
For America.
For America.
Okay. Explain to me, because I'm so green to the world of
No problem.
pageants. I did not realize I knew there was Miss USA and Miss America. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
there's two different competitions.
Those are the top two, Miss
Okay.
America, Miss USA, and then Mrs. So MRS
Yes.
is Mrs. America will have its 50th
Wow.
pageant next year. So we're
So
we're
for
already
50
talking
years,
about that.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was always a married competition, and it happened 50 years ago. So 1974, I'm 50, so I know that was
Yeah.
1974-ish. You have these women homemakers that were
Interesting.
doing, I don't know how it really was, but it was probably competitions on how well they organized
Oh,
and how well
really?
they were doing this
That's
and
how it
that for their
started.
husbands
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. And so
Did you
that's-
have his pipe and slippers ready?
Yes. So
You
it has thankfully evolved to
Yeah.
the empowered woman.
Oh my
who
gosh, these
is
women are
a-
so impressive.
Yes, and they are lawyers and doctors, and
Engineers and-
engineers. They're just amazing women who are wanting to make a difference in the world, and they have a platform and their voice, and they explore pageantry. So in 2019, they decided to include the single women and the divorced women and the widowed, those kind of
'Cause I
women
think
who are
that is a
still
myth.
relevant, but we just don't have an
Yes.
MRS in front of our
That is a
name.
myth that people think Miss Colorado is all really young, like
Mhm.
18 to 25 or something,
Yes, and that was the case for the Miss USA and Miss America
that you
pageants.
had to be.
Yes, and Miss USA, I think, is what it is. Did just increase the
The
age.
age?
Yes, so
Interesting.
they have done that.
Because ladies, you're not done when you turn
You're
50.
not. That ship has not sailed.
No.
You can still do that. So that was exciting. I was the sponsor for the Mrs. Colorado pageant for
Fun.
years, and they always asked if I'd want to be in it. And I was not in a very happy marriage, so I just couldn't understand how I would convey that on stage.
I'm Mrs. Unhappy.
I do not have
Colorado.
his pipe. Yes, no pipes ready for him or
They need
anything
a
like
third.
that.
They need a third arm. The Mrs. Unhappy.
Unhappy
Colorado.
That would have definitely been me. So when they did come out with this in 2019, the Miss Colorado for America, I really went and looked at it and I thought, well, that would be fun, but I was still kind of new out of my divorce. And then the third time around, I thought, why not do this? I'm just going to
That's
try it
cool.
and I'll be in it for a few years and very exciting. But I won that first year.
I know,
which
very,
was crazy.
which is I didn't. That's another thing I learned. It's very rare that a first time entry a candidate will
Yes.
win.
Yeah.
That most people who win have competed a few years, and so you come in first year and you win.
Yes, I was ready to
Very
be
exciting.
there for a long while. And Emily Stark, who is our incredible
We love her.
director,
Yeah.
I knew her because I was a sponsor, and I just had asked her a few questions about it, and thought, okay, well, I'm just going to be here for a few years. And after that, I was like, oh my
We'll see
gosh!
what
So
I
I
can
was
do.
still learning quite a bit, and I did go to nationals in Vegas that
That's so
year,
cool.
and it was very exciting. I still have friends all over the country.
You do
from
form
that.
your
Yes,
community of queens.
You do.
Yes, that's
Yes.
really fun.
Yeah. So
I
we
noticed
just
that too. I
had-
was like, oh, there's another nugget that I took away is the community.
Mhm.
You know, in the past couple weeks, I work in the women's prison, and I was looking at the community that these women have, that they support each other, that they encourage each other,
Mhm.
that they are there as their sister.
Yeah.
And then at the pageant, you saw this community. And then sadly, we lost one of our neighbors. We went to a funeral, and I was looking at the community of our neighbors, just our neighbors,
Love it.
how you look out for each other. So it's not just we are in the same building,
Mhm.
but we actually do care about each other and try to encourage and lift up. And I thought, interesting, the whole concept of community. And wow, at the pageant, there were women who won like you many years ago, and yet
Mhm. We're
you're still
coming
plugged
around.
in.
Yes.
You're working with the new pageant, the new cadre that came in. You're helping them and cheering them on. I was like,
Absolutely.
that was really cool
Yeah,
to see.
it's my favorite time of year where I can just go see all these new faces and they're coming in. They're not really sure why they're there. They are there.
Yeah.
But after that it's a 4-day program where
Which was another thing. It was like an
is.
all day
Yes.
with interviews, which are so stressful. As the judge, I was like, oh, this sounds fun. I was like, oh my gosh, this was so
You
hard.
got all this homework and
Oh yeah, to
everything.
read through. I was reading all the bios to my husband, and so I would just read them. He's like, "Dang, like
Yeah.
these women are so impressive.
Yes.
They've all accomplished so much. Some of them, you're like, and a couple of them were so young and had done so much. I was like, who are you? Is there anything you cannot do? Like what?
Exactly,
Who
right?
is this woman? Yeah, very impressive. So you read all their bios, and I was writing questions ahead of time, like, oh, I'd want to ask this and want to know more about that. And so then after the interviews, they came out and did the swimsuit competition. And that was one I was not anticipating how hard that was.
Really?
Because I just sat there as a woman going,
I don't want to be judged.
nobody wants to be judged.
No.
And then you're out there in a swimsuit and heels. Some of them had heels on that were so high that I thought, oh, there's no way they can walk in those. Like, oh, please don't go down. Please don't.
Yeah.
Nobody fell.
No
Has
one
that ever
fell.
happened?
No, I don't think.
Since you've been doing
I've
it?
been doing it.
Because that was scary. My heart would like race when I saw some of these women coming. I was like, oh gosh, they're going down. They're going down.
Now that is our panic. Yes. That we don't want to.
Right.
Yes,
And then I was
so we
looking at
work
it going,
hard not to.
you're not judging, okay, how does necessarily your body look?
No.
as much as it is, I was looking for this. I mean, I kept telling you, there were some that walked out no matter what they had on, bathing suit, regular business attire, or evening gown.
Mhm.
When they walked out, I just went, wow.
Yes,
Like,
and that's what you want.
stunning.
Mhm.
All around stunning. And then how they carried themselves in a bathing suit. Because I thought, okay, I would be out there going,
Yeah, and I think back in the beginning of pageantry, that was definitely, we want you to look beautiful and perfect, and
perfect.
you
Yeah.
are the best homemaker and
Yeah.
this and that. But it has evolved, and it is really that confidence level
Yeah.
that they are looking at the judges when you do say, wow, and they may have the curves and they have
Right.
the cellulite and they have this and that.
And there were some that were
okay.
so fit
Yes.
and so gorgeous, but there was something about them that I was like, I wouldn't want to sit down with them and like, I want to go to lunch with you, which is what Emily said. Emily Stark said, like, which ones would you want to spend more time with?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was really interesting because there is something I've always said in business. And when I was in speaking and marketing, it's, are you likable?
Yes.
And there's a likability factor.
Mhm.
And I think it's hard to like, can you teach likability? Which
Right.
I did spend some time going, what are 5 qualities of being likable? How could you work on being more likable? What are 5 qualities of being unlikable?
Yes.
And how do you make sure you don't have these?
Yeah, and there's some people that even in pageantry or even out of pageantry where you can say, they're not being authentic with me. There's something about
There's
it.
something about it.
You want that
You
authentic.
can't pinpoint.
Yes.
But you're like, there's something about, and again, there were a couple women that were so gorgeous, but I was like, there's something about them that just wasn't as likable.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of in my maybe category. But then when I saw them again, I was like, there's just something. I kept saying they were too performative.
Yes.
It was as if they had practiced a little too much, you know, and standing a little too awkward. I was like, that is so uncomfortable. You're going to need a massage after standing like that.
to enter the pageant with those kind of moves right there.
Yes. Like that is so strange.
Yes.
That's not a normal, you know, if you've ever had a photo shoot, which you have, you
Mhm.
know how the photographers make you stand in the most uncomfortable, strange poses to
Mhm.
get make your turtleneck stick out and then look down so there's no shadows.
Yes.
I mean, if somebody has a great headshot, it's because
Mhm.
they were really uncomfortable when they had that done. I can
key right
almost
there.
guarantee that.
Yes, for sure.
And there was just this likability that came through in some of them that I was like, wow.
And I think
Really
that
interesting.
there are women who over practice and over coach, and they have that nervous energy that's, I want this so bad, so I'm going to just
Which I wrote that
overdo
down.
everything.
You want it so bad that it comes across not desperate,
yes,
but forced.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're that performer. And
Yes.
in this, I will tell you that going to nationals, seeing the rest of the states, they have beautiful women who show up, but those were the performers. There was a lot of performers there.
A lot of performers.
And we always say, all of the former queens, we call ourselves the washed up queens, but we always
look washed up. We all want to look like this when we're washed up, right?
Well, washed up. We always say that Emily has the best program because she really wants those authentic, beautiful people that are likable, that are good souls. She always looks for good souls. And so I love the fact that you saw that you wanted the likability factor.
And it was interesting. I was trying to then go, okay, what are my 5 qualities that make someone likable?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I thought was really interesting is somebody who has a sense of humor. And a lot of times it's a sense of humor, even self-deprecating about yourself. Like, you're okay. If you mess up, you can laugh at it. Or you can, I don't know, you could kind of poke fun at something that's an obvious instead of being stressed about it. Oh my gosh, this isn't right. Or this, I did this wrong. Or so being someone who has a sense of humor, but doesn't mean you have to be funny.
Yeah.
It means you're okay with who you are and you can laugh at yourself.
This is who I am.
This is who I am.
I want to do this because of this reason, or anything like that. Now, you had said that you were very surprised with how many women that had really hard lives up till that point with like domestic abuse.
Okay,
and
that
different
was a
things.
theme,
That was a thing.
sadly,
Yeah.
that I heard from a lot of the women, that they came out of abusive relationships and they were now choosing to walk this path and enter this competition to kind of prove to themselves, like, I'm good enough.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and I love that. I love the
Uh-huh.
ones that are, you know what, we've all walked trails of some sort of trauma.
Yes.
We've had maybe lives that were harder than we had always wished for.
Right.
Yeah, but the ones that said, you know what, I'm doing this to prove to myself
Mhm.
that I can do this, which that was admirable. That was like, I like that. That
Yeah.
was, yeah.
I've seen a lot of that. That's where I just come back every year to see
Yeah.
those women that are building themselves up. You have to sometimes tear yourself down to the core there and just rebuild. And being
Oh,
in
so
this
many of them.
pageant
Yeah.
has helped quite a bit of them.
Oh, I'm sure. Because there were
Mhm.
women who had trauma from, you know, whether it was struggling with in vitro fertilization, you know, they couldn't get pregnant. They couldn't get pregnant. One woman, you know, had adoption was her, you know, she had been adopted. So it's, you know, you kind of
Oh, yeah.
heard these different stories. And when they would tell their stories, they did it, they were very humble.
Yeah.
They were, you just saw the compassion
Mhm.
in their faces.
Yeah.
And some of them, it seemed more, I don't want to say superficial, but they
It's-
didn't have that level of deep
Yeah.
reason for being there.
Well, and I think that's the overperformer again, where so many of them are such good souls, and I see it.
Yeah.
But then so I'm the one that takes them to their interview. So I'm walking with them, and how are you feeling?
How
You
you
got it
feeling?
all.
Yeah.
You've got this, and they are like in their mind saying. You can see them in the corner
Yeah.
going, "Ba-da-da, ba-da-da,"
Yes.
and they're practicing,
Rehearsing.
which is fine.
Yeah.
You should definitely have some little scripts in your mind
Because they had
how
to
you
come in
want to
and do a
go.
30-second kind of little intro.
Yeah.
So you do want to have that down. Like,
Yeah,
what am I
you
going to
wanna
say?
have that,
Yeah.
and then you wanna just be that best
comfortable.
bit. This is your 4 minutes in there where you're going
Yeah.
to have to shine, and they want to. Then they'd come out, and either they were, "Yes," or, "Ugh, I don't
Yeah.
even know what I said," or,
Yeah.
"It went really bad, and I've screwed it all up." You know, they're either one of those. There's all these emotions
Right.
because they've been perceiving this as the biggest moment of
And
this whole process.
which is interesting. If you're doing it because you need validation that you're beautiful,
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the right
This
reason.
is not the reason.
Yeah.
No.
And it's like, you're not there just for validation that, yeah, I mean, all of them were beautiful.
Mhm.
And you could sit down with every one of them and say, okay, this woman is beautiful. Some of them drop dead gorgeous. But then you go, okay, beyond beauty,
Mhm.
these other factors. And so again, sense of humor, but also another one was just somebody who's very positive. And this again, I'll step out of pageant world because all of them were positive.
Yeah.
I mean, they all are there with, you know, as if they're in an interview for a job. You're going to be
Yes.
positive. You're not going to get, well, there are people probably who would get into an interview and go, oh, you don't know the kind of day I've had. Or, you know, the people that complain a lot in our lives, or if you're trying to do business with other people and you're always Debbie Downer,
Yeah.
nobody wants to be around you.
No.
And so,
No.
not that you have to hide that, but
Mhm.
always evaluate, am I looking for joy in my life, joyful moments in my day? Am I an upbeat person?
Mhm.
And if you're not, if you're a naturally negative filtered person, that is
Yeah.
something you can choose.
Mhm.
And I used to think it can't, like, oh, there are just some people who are just negative.
Yeah.
You choose every
You
day.
choose every day to be who you
Yeah.
want to.
And there are people, so, you know, that becomes your likability piece as well, is that positive, cheerful
Mhm.
attitude that comes through. But then there was one that I thought really hit with some of them, and it's the self-awareness. Being aware, do you come across as a know-it-all? Do you come across as
Mhm.
arrogant? Do you come across, there are some people you meet and they're, I don't know, there's something about them. It's great to be knowledgeable. I always say be a learn-it-all, not a
Yeah.
know-it-all.
Love that.
Yeah.
Learn it all.
Be
Yeah.
a learn-it-all. Like, you're always
Mhm.
curious and learning, but if you act like you know it all, there's something about that no one wants to be around
Where
you.
they're like, maybe.
Maybe,
You
you
put it in the
know, or
maybe. Yeah.
they argue with you. That's not how it was. It was
Mhm.
this. And
Well, and they go through, so after they do not place or do not win, there's always that panic of how did I feel. And Emily does go through, Emily, our
Wow.
director, goes through the information that you provide on
So the
all
feedback
of
that
all
we're
the
writing
feedback.
down, she sits with them and goes over all of that.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
know that she says, "Oh, they did not like your dress," or
Right.
anything like that. But it's really
Things you can work
she
on.
does look at things. Oh, they felt like you had a great presence, but you seemed too scripted. That kind of stuff, or
right.
whatever it might say. So then they have to go through that whole emotional
that's
roller coaster
hard.
of, well, what am I supposed to? And then next year there'll be 5 new judges,
Right.
that have never seen them.
True.
So you can either say, okay, well, these people don't know me and I'm going to be this different person, or
I'm going to work
they're
on
going to
those
like that
things.
same person. I'm going to just be who I am because I'm perfect. And,
Right.
it is a learn it all. This whole process should be a learn it all
Yeah.
type of process. And, I think some of them look at, well, she was over there coaching. She got all this coaching. That's why she got it. Well,
Oh, interesting.
maybe. Yeah, that might be why.
Because can they opt in for coaching?
Yes. So
or
we do
not?
have all of us former
Okay.
queens. I'm not a coach, but
You could sign up
I
and say,
think I could actually say, after being in the program for 5 years
Totally,
now,
yeah.
I can say this is what you might want to work on. There's a coach for the way you walk and
Oh,
in the
interesting.
heels,
Yeah.
how you perform in the heels. But some of them do look at that as like, it costs money. It's like any type of a dancer is going to get additional coaching before she
Tennis
goes.
players are going to go
auditions.
sign up for coaching before tournaments. Right.
Yes. NFL players are going to get a coach before they go into the combine to try out for a team.
Right.
That's how they should be looking at it. And if you feel like you're missing something,
Hiring that coach to help
a coach could help you. And that's in everything, like an interview coach. I just spoke to a friend of mine about interviewing because maybe I'm interviewing for different jobs that I might be interested in doing, and
Right.
I'm not
You have
getting
some
some
fun
of
things.
them.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm not likable in that category. I don't know.
You're
There's
so
always
likable.
something
That
that
is interesting.
well-
You're looking at what is it that they're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Am I asking for too much money? Am I asking for this?
True.
Is my resume bad?
Yeah.
You should do that with anything.
With anybody, a coach. Yeah. So that is interesting because those likability pieces, you kind of look at it and go, what is it that I could be working on? What can I do? Do you come across as passionate about something, or are you just kind of average? Is it just ho hum? Do you seem fun? And that's what I kept looking for. Is this a person that, you could picture them in different places and they would be someone I'd go, wow, I want to get to know them more.
Yeah.
I want to have lunch with them.
I love
And there were a couple that I was like, I would want to be your friend.
Yes.
Yeah, super fun. And the other one I just thought was somebody who is curious, that they are learning. I don't know how that would come across in the pageant necessarily, but if you are a curious person and you're always looking to learn, that tends to make you, and I always say, sometimes people go into a room and they try to be so interesting instead of go in and be interested in other people and ask questions. There are some, and we all know these people in our lives, they're so unaware that you can talk to them for an hour. They never ask you anything about you. How are you?
Been through that.
How are your kids? They never ask you. They'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And you're like, they're so unaware that they are just focused on themselves. And I've seen this in networking events where all they do is just vomit about what they do. And they never ask, tell me about you.
And how can we
so crazy
collaborate on anything? Yeah.
So that whole awareness piece, I think, is missing for a lot of people. And I'm trying to figure out, how would you teach somebody that? I guess you would have to say, if you've gone 30 seconds without asking a question.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah. Yeah,
I
agree. I think there's some things. I worked in customer service my whole life before I became a therapist, and there's just something you either have that customer service skill to say, I am so sorry that happened to you. Let's look at this. Or you're just a scripted person, or you're just going to start.
Or you're afraid to say, I'm sorry that happened to you, because you're thinking, I didn't do anything wrong. That was their fault.
No, you
It's
just
like, no,
didn't do
I'm
it by the
sorry
procedure.
that they're going through this. I'm so sorry you
There's
had to go through this.
Some sort of empathy or some sort of likability that you do have to want to get to know people. What's funny is Sunika, who won Mrs. Colorado, the MRS, She was someone who was in the event. She was at an event that we were having here at the village.
Right. Was it the Christmas one?
No, it was the big fitness event where everyone had about 20 to 30 minutes to come and do their yoga or their Om Fit. I was working at Om Fitness at the time. And I just kept looking at her.
Oh, she wasn't signed up in the pageant yet.
No, she just came and she was all sweaty and she's doing all these fitness classes. And I just went to her and said, I need to talk to you later about.
You have something.
Yes. There's just something about you. I'm with the Mrs. Colorado pageant. And she kind of was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And she did come over to my table and got my card. So she had called Emily Stark at that point. And then I had told Emily that I had sent someone her way, and she goes, oh yeah, she already signed up. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's awesome.
But she was doing it to get to know people and to be more networking. And I think, she loved the sisterhood aspect of it. And then she wins because she doesn't have that nervous energy.
And she was also first time
ever getting the Mrs.
competed
Colorado
and won.
Yes.
Was the Miss Colorado, was she also first time?
Jessica.
Jessica was the one she's in the Space Force.
Yes.
So impressive.
What? Like the Space Force.
Crazy.
Very cool.
There were some judges going, wait, is that a real thing?
Is that like Star Wars?
Yeah. You hear Space Force.
Space Force. Yes. No, she I think was in Miss Colorado USA, I think.
Okay.
Or America. I'm not sure. I did
she had done another
stalk her on her Instagram and saw that. And then Kendall, who won Mrs. Colorado American, she kept getting better. She was in the top 5, I think, and then she was the first runner up last year, and then she won Mrs. Colorado American this time. So I mean, you just got to keep going
and work on how am I improving.
She totally is an improver. She, I think, does corporate training, and she's always about what to do to trick you into doing this or that or that, and she won.
That's exciting.
I love it.
And it's really fun. I mean, you kind of look at those things, you go, what makes somebody, that there are some, it's a harsh word, but there are some people we meet that come across arrogant. And when you look at it, you're like, what is it about them that they feel like again, I think it came across when they're performative.
Yeah.
It also came across that I don't know, there was something about them that just seemed that they were better than, instead of the humble approach of like, we're all doing this together.
Yes.
I don't know.
That's a good way of saying it, because you do want to perform a little. This is how I'm showing you my confidence.
Anytime you walk out in high heels and a bathing suit, you've got to be performing.
You better be showing.
That is not natural.
Yes.
That is not natural.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Flip-flops, okay. I'll go out there in my flip-flops.
With a towel.
Or a wrap or something,
Exactly.
Yeah. And that is, but the arrogance.
But there's got to be that match of I am here being humbled, and here I am, see my confidence, rather than, yep, I'm going to win.
And
no one else got me.
I think all of us can work on what is that. You're self-assured. You are confident in your knowledge or in your appearance or whatever it is you're out there putting forward, but it's that confidence. And when women would walk out, and I was just like, wow, like somebody, and surprisingly, probably because I'm older, the ones who were older were like, dang, like, look at her.
Yes,
she's just like owning it and looking so good. And I was like, wow, every time, like, wow.
That's another thing, is that so many people don't realize that it's our winner a few years ago. Sylvia was 63 at the time, and Natalie, I think, was the same, 63. There was a 69-year-old.
This time, 69-year-old. She was one Sandy that I was like, wow.
And she made the top 12.
She made the top 12. Yes. She was one that I just kept going, wow, she is stunning. Just everything about her. She had white hair. It was just stunning. Her haircut. And I was just like, what is it when you really start analyzing someone? It's not just that they're pretty.
I think she was 82 pounds lighter, something like that.
Oh, interesting.
And she just was like, I'm coming out and having fun. This is my celebration of what I've done to make myself better and to improve myself. And so we were
Fascinating.
like 82 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And there were a
she's
couple
just
women who
gorgeous.
had struggled with eating disorders
Yes,
or being
PCOS, I
extremely.
think.
What is
One of
PCOS?
That's polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so it makes you gain weight and you cannot do anything about it. It's just
Wow.
something that they just can't find. Sometimes they can find
Like
little
something
little
they could
things
adjust
that adjust
Wow.
it. But so
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
but
there were
you're
just, again, every one of them, there was something so impressive to put yourself into that position where you're saying, I'm going to have total strangers judge me, and then I'm going to go out on a stage and have 1,000 people stare at me.
Yeah. For
Wow.
me, it was, I had told my daughter during COVID that I wanted to look like Kathy Ireland when I grew up. She had asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, Kathy Ireland. And she just started laughing
like, "Who?"
hysterically.
Yeah,
well, I
did
had
she
to
know
show
who that
her.
was?
Yes. So I showed her a picture and she goes, oh, Mom, that ship has sailed. And I said, that hasn't sailed. I can still do this.
Girlfriend,
And so I
that
entered
ship
the
is
pageant.
still in the harbor.
Total in the harbor. I never launched that ship. I'm getting out
That's
there.
right.
And,
It's still there.
Yeah. So
That
yeah,
is really
it just
fun.
takes that confidence.
It
to
does.
do it.
And just having that confidence in yourself that at any age, it's funny because there's a conference coming up that I'm speaking at, and it's Biz Life Con, but it's part of Barbara Brooks' second act, Women. And it's for women 40 and older. And I thought, I love that there's so many things focused now on as women get older, we get better, we get better, we get better.
Yes, that paradigm has shifted,
has
right?
shifted.
It is definitely okay to still want to do this stuff
I
when
said in
you're
my
in your 40s and 50s
I thought
and
it
60s.
were my best, like, wow. Well, my 40s, I felt like I was in my best physical condition. My 50s, I felt like, okay, I was in my best place career-wise. And now in my 60s, I was like, all right, I need to go back to my best physical condition. That's going to be my goal in my 60s. I got to get back in the gym.
But you know more now. Like
yeah.
that's what we do get better.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be
Smarter,
like throwing
wiser.
you in the closet because that's
And one tip I have for women who struggle with this getting older, I always tell women, okay, go to Pinterest. You know, every year we go to Pinterest and we create these vision boards and we cut out pictures of gorgeous women. And usually as we get older, we keep cutting out pictures of women
20-year-olds
who are still 20 and 30. I was like, here's your problem, ladies.
Yes.
Start cutting out pictures of women who are 70 and 80, still looking amazing, and say, there's my goal. There's my goal.
That's what I will
They're
do.
older, but they still look so great.
Yeah.
And they still have a vibrant life. And I think so many times we feel like our ship has sailed and we feel like I'm kind of washed up or I'm over the hill or whatever the terms we use in our culture. And we have all these images on our vision boards that are, we will never be 30 again.
Right.
Stop putting them on your board.
It's very true.
Like, let's show the world what women that are 50 and 60 look like and feel like. And
I'm guilty
I love
of
the
that.
stuff you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Very exciting.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I'm guilty of that. I do put a lot of, but there are
ladies, we got to stop it.
We got to put those.
I found a picture of a couple. And I showed my husband, this is going to be us when we're 70 or 80. And the guy had a long gray beard, but super stylish haircut, tattoos everywhere. And he goes, so do I have to start getting tattoos and growing my beard
to be this?
I was
exact
like, you
person?
better get going.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is what we're going to be. And they were just this stunning couple that was like, and if you go to Pinterest, you'll see them on everything. Just type in older, good looking couple. They're on, they're everywhere. So there must only be one.
They're like, this is it.
This is the only couple out there that's just still hot. And I was like, all right,
we gotta have to put your picture.
I know.
You have.
I was like, here, we're gonna have to be the next, the next 70 and 80 couple. So. Yeah.
Well, you were talking about what I'm doing. The
yes.
swimsuit.
Tell us about this.
Well, the SI swimsuit search is a search for regular women to be in the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. And there was a woman named Kathy Jacobs. When I first saw it, she was 58 years old, I think. And she's just, go Google Kathy Jacobs because she's just beautiful.
Stunning.
And I think she's in her 60s now, still on everything. She's everywhere that I see. So it's that paradigm has shifted and you're right. You want to put that on your
we need to have those on our vision board. And we have to say, this is what I want to aspire to. I want to age and I want to still be vibrant. I want to still feel hot. I want to still feel that I can do anything. And I think it's when we stop feeling that way about ourselves that we just give up and we feel like,
depression.
okay, I'm just
Yeah.
depressed because I no longer look like I'm 30. And you're like, yeah, you know
Of
what?
course you don't,
I'm
because
glad I don't look like
thank
I did when I
God.
was 30. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like we're older and wiser and more beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Every day you come in, we're always amazed. Like no matter what. And you do hard work all day. You're stunning every day.
Oh,
You do.
I have a bun.
Yes. And she still looks great. Yeah.
But this is who I come to
Yeah.
see every day. And
Yeah.
like,
So it's a
mentor.
mutual admiration society. When we come in, we're
definitely.
like, you know what? We can do this.
Yes.
Over 50 means nothing, ladies. We still have so
Nothing.
much. I mean, I always tell people that are 50, okay, imagine you live to 80 or 90. You've
Mhm.
got 30 or 40 years left.
Yeah.
That's
Who
a
is it?
lot
Jane
of time.
Fonda is 80.
Yes.
something.
It
80.
still looks
yes.
incredible.
That's
Yes.
yes,
She's got a
she
little nippy
has.
tucky
Yes,
done.
we have to mention
Or a lot of
that.
nippy tucky done.
Yes.
But
But it's the inside too. She does the
yes,
health and the
she
eating
always takes
right
care of
and all
herself.
of that stuff too.
I need to work on that. Yeah, I'm curious from any of you listening to this, tell us what makes someone likable, because those are the qualities we all need to look at. How can I start working on being more likable? Look at those characteristics that are negative, the lack of confidence. There's a lot of women, especially men and women, but I see a lot of women so unsure of themselves, afraid to step out and say, this is what I think. This is what I believe. This is what I know.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's like, okay.
And that's
Be
how
sure.
we kind of are right now, where we're just set in our mindsets of this is what we are, or we get triggered by something that someone says, and we just, that's what I need to work on. Something, if I'm triggered by something someone says and I don't necessarily agree with it, or I don't know that they see my
Your point of
perspective,
view,
I
right.
just kind of
And it is interesting to
close
hear
down on
somebody
that.
completely different point of view. And it's easy to say, it's interesting. I mean, that's usually what I always say. Wow, that's interesting. We always say funny
Now I'll
things.
know.
Yeah, you'll know.
Jeez.
I go, oh, that's interesting. Or, wow, crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, you don't agree with me.
That's interesting. Tell me more. Or
Yes.
help me understand that if somebody
That's
really disagrees with me, I'm always so curious. Tell me where that point of view comes from. I really want to understand your perspective.
Absolutely. And that's
Because
a great way to
there
do it.
must be something that you know
Mhm.
that makes you feel so strongly about it that I obviously don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you've grown up in a situation where this came to be a truth that you hold
Mhm.
to, and I never thought of it that way. And then when you hear somebody's point of view, you're like, okay,
Oh.
I may not still agree,
But
but now
you
I totally
understand.
understand where you're coming from. And I'm like, all right,
Mhm.
we can both stand on different sides of this, because you
Still
know
be
what?
friends.
We're still friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously in politics, we practice that a lot.
It's
Like,
very
help me understand.
a daily conversation.
Wow. Some people so passionate about things. You're like, wow, help me understand how you.
And especially the people that you're in business with,
Yes.
right?
You
That
have to.
come in and you have to
Yes.
listen to their point of view, and
So
it is
many.
not necessarily always yours.
No.
And so you have to manage that.
But then
to
when you
continue
hear
that
their story,
relationship.
you kind of go, oh, I can see why you believe that. I
Mhm.
can see where you're coming from.
Mhm.
I totally have a
I
different
have a
perspective,
different perspective.
but that's okay. Like, you know what? And usually just by listening to someone, it softens the whole relationship, and you're able to go,
Yes.
all right, we don't have to agree on this one.
Yeah.
But, yeah. You know
Let's
what? Good thing
talk
here.
about
Let's
chocolate.
talk about chocolate. Let's talk about Dubai chocolate.
Dubai
Yeah.
chocolate.
I'm going to go seek that out
Yes.
and find out. I'm not I don't necessarily, I like pistachios. I can't
I'm not
picture
a big pistachio.
pistachio chocolate. I'm like,
Mm.
really curious about that one. So we'll have to go see. I'll bring some in if I find it.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to do a taste test. But super fun talking to you. I
Yes, I
love
loved it.
everything that you're involved in. It's very inspiring. And ladies, you can still get tickets to this Biz Life Con. I've posted about it multiple times on Facebook and LinkedIn. There's links there for a discounted ticket price if you click on the link that's in, or scan the QR code on my image, because they give us a code that you get $40 off the ticket price. So you can get a discount. That's coming up in 2 weeks. I believe it's 2 weeks from maybe last Friday. Maybe we're down to like 10 days or something. But
Is it at a comedy? The
it's
Comedy
at the
Works?
Comedy
Do you have to be
Works.
funny when you're?
No, it is not a comedy act. Although
You're pretty funny though.
I'm going to be funny. You know that.
I think you
There's
totally
I
can do that.
can't help it. I'll have to point out things about, but I will be talking about going from starting a business, coming up with an idea, and how do you implement that and put that idea into action, and the process you go through. Who do you need to surround yourself with at different stages? And so that's my talk on that, is just changing directions and starting from scratch. And that'll be fun. But it's going to be a really cool conference. Lots of really good information, from hormonal health talks to career for those who are working jobs and they're looking at, how do I advance in my career when I'm over 40 and 50? And then those of us who are entrepreneurs, how do you start businesses, and how do you really make yourself stand out and build that personal brand when you're over 40, 50? And you know what? I think that gives you the edge. So much wiser.
So much.
I mean,
wiser.
don't you look back and go, wow, I'm so much smarter than I was when I was 20 or 30.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, all the mistakes we made.
Yes. I had a business that I opened that did fail. I don't know if I should say fail. It did not go the way. And I learned so much.
You learned so much.
Then I came here, and she has been incredible in the way that I can just come to you with a question. You have 13 ideas.
Let's do this.
Yes. And so it is, you have to network, and you have to ask people questions, and you are a learn-it-all.
You're a learn-it-all.
It's not a know-it-all, for sure.
I mean, we're never there. We're never done.
Never.
You know, when people would say, oh, are you a marketing expert? No, I'm a student that's just been in school for a long time.
I'm still, and everything's changing now. So
you can never be an
constant
expert.
Change.
In business, it's hard to be an expert in everything because it changes every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, how are you staying abreast on everything going on? And AI is right now consuming me, because I'm just going, that's an area I'm still feeling so inadequate. And I know that the potential is there to change the way we do business, and looking for how do we make that work in our industries that don't seem obvious. I know that it will change our world when we find the right application. So I'm excited to learn it all.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're having people come here, so I can learn it all.
If you're an expert in something,
come here.
We want to sit at your feet and learn everything. Be little sponges.
Yes, absolutely.
So, well, neighbors, this has been so fun. And Emily, you are a delight, a treasure. Come down if you need a great massage. Or another thing that you're really good at is, if you are in the wellness space, but you feel like you really do need a coach, you also work with people who are starting wellness businesses, because you've been down that road. And you know how to build that business and how to market it and how to do all the things. So
if you're like working for a spa, that's great, or a hairstylist, like a salon, something like that. But you can do this on your own, and there's a way to do it. And I've made all the mistakes. I've already done that for you. So
this is your year to be brave. I'm telling people, get out there and be brave. Do all the things. Audition for things that you're like, this is super scary, but you know what? I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it. And if people want to follow you and follow your journey on this, how do they find you on social media?
Well, on social media, I am now. Like my daughter said, that ship has sailed, and I said, no, it hasn't. So I jumped in this year to more modeling. That's what my 16-year-old self wanted to do. So at 50, I decided to listen to that girl.
Because now you have more confidence.
I do.
Than you did
and
when
I
you were
don't
16.
care if you like it or not, or if you want to.
She's likable and beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But it's Emily Sanders _ model on Instagram.
Emily Sanders _ model.
And I'm verified now. So my daughter thinks I'm really famous now.
So you're a big deal. She's kind of
a
a big deal. And then you did say you jumped on TikTok, or you're getting ready to?
I'm on TikTok, but 2 people know about me on TikTok.
Well, you know, if you are a TikTok person, follow you there too. Let's get our numbers up there.
Yeah.
Is it the same handle?
It is. It's Emily Sanders
_ model.
That's the underscore. Very visual.
_ model. Okay. Well, follow Emily. If you want to book a massage, you could probably, are your links on Instagram as well?
Yes. It's just Emily Sanders LMT.com.
Which is licensed massage therapist.
Yes.
Somebody else sent me their information because they're coming in here to have an office here, but it said LMT, and I was like,
I am keeping it separate because they don't really go together. The modeling and
2 separate
massage
pieces of content.
Yeah. Way separate. I definitely have it.
And you
separated.
probably don't want to cross those, because you're going to get a lot of creepers.
There are some
already
creepers.
enough.
There's
Yeah.
creepers that like to
They're like,
cross
oh,
it.
Miss Colorado?
Yeah.
She does massage?
I'm like,
Sign me
I get
up.
my crowbar out. And
Crank on it.
yeah. That's what happens if you do that.
I love it. Well, Emily, thank you so much for this
Yeah, of
great chat.
course. Thanks for
Everybody
having
get
me.
out there and be more likable this week.
Yes.
Practice being likable.
Likable.
Like I always used to say, be yourself, unless you're a jerk.
Unless
be
you're not
someone else.
likable.
Yeah.
So you have to be more
And
likable.
be someone else. Bye, neighbors.
Bye.